Okay, in our last set of slides, we are going to be focusing on, sorry, pornography, child pornography, and then obscenity in women. And then in class, I will start the lecture with Angley's, Cowboys, and then we'll move into the new material. First of all, child pornography is completely illegal. There's no defense to it. The production, distribution, possession, not protected by the First Amendment. And so it is what is called a strict, quote-unquote, crime, because in law, when you say strict, it means there's no defense. If you do it, you're guilty. If the police find child pornography on your computer, on a cell phone, on anything else that you possess, it doesn't matter if someone else put it there, you didn't know it was there, you are guilty. So, because just the possession of it, whether you put it there or not, implicates you and you're guilty. So, again, I just say it's completely legal. Don't look at it, don't let it in your house, don't have it on your hard drive, because it leads to problems. An interesting fact behind this is that we all can agree that child pornography is horrific and should not be done. Leading up through the 70s and 80s, started to be noticed that models were getting younger and younger, actresses in films getting kind of younger, and they figured out that Congress wanted to stop this movement toward younger and younger and younger. And so they passed the Child Pornography Prevention Act in 1996, and it barred the sale of anything containing images that even appear to depict minors. So if I am a producer of pornography or indoor director, and I hire an 18-year-old, let's say two 18-year-olds, to do a scene, both the boy and the girl in the scene, or the young man, young woman, whatever you want to call them, were 18. They signed and verified that they were 18. There's no doubt that they were 18, but they're both very young looking, and so they could easily pass for a 12-year-old. Then if I film them having sex, that's a problem, because to the person just flipping through a catalog and sees this particular image, they'll think, oh, this is dealing with really young kids, I'll buy it. So this was a problem, that if I hire someone who's 18, what do you do if they actually look 12? So notice this was in 1996. In 2002, the Supreme Court ruled that important segments of this law violated the First Amendment, as the Child Pornography Prevention Act prohibits speech that records no crime and creates no victims in its production, meaning they recognize that the performers are overage and they can consent, can't help it that they look younger. But what this really ended up doing was putting a chilling effect, because for 5 or so years, while it was still being litigated, you didn't know how it would turn out, and so people and productions backed off on using younger and younger. Then, again, the next year, Congress acted and passed the PROTECT Act, aimed at curbing promotion of child pornography. 3 years later, much more quickly this time, a federal appellate court found the act unconstitutional, because it was overbroad, meaning even though they wanted to go in and just take out child pornography, it would expand the definition of what pornography was, and it would go beyond just child pornography. So it was too broad, and it was void for vagueness, meaning it didn't specifically state what child pornography was, why we're stopping it, what promotion means. Does promoting child pornography mean that you're buying it? Does it mean that you're producing and putting it out there? Does it mean that, I don't know, does it mean that a person just likes this? or they send out emails to people saying, oh, if you like this, think about us. What is promoting? That's too broad, vague of a term in a law. Laws need to be very specific to state exactly what they're blocking. So again, it was turned down. So for several, and even currently today, we don't have an official child pornography law in the books other than it's just completely illegal. So that's where we are. For people wanting to use people who look younger, that's fine at the moment. Congress twice in a row got turned over their ways that they're trying to write the laws, and they ended up figuring out that it's really hard, that something that's already kind of has a strict liability on it, that if you possess it, create it, distribute it, you're going to jail, that there's really no other way to curb child pornography. So that led to Congress not acting too much. And then we started getting into financial crises and stuff, and so it's just taking a back burner at the moment. You did read an article about feminist scholars. An article that you read about the feminist scholars ended up talking about several well-respected, Andrea Dworkin and a few others, but at times they've even met resistance from the feminist movement because they would end up straying too far from what the core feminist value is. So feminist scholars assert that sexually explicit content subordinates women to men. That part of Andrea Dworkin's argument was picked up and was fine through the feminist movement. It objectifies women. It exploits women as sex objects for men. And it leads to violence. That was where it started to get a little bit iffy. When you say that pornography automatically leads to violence against women, because men will objectify women, then they can feel like, since a woman is not a person, she's a thing, then I can treat it any way I want. That started stretching the argument a bit too much. And then when Andrea Dworkin continued on into saying that there really should be no pornography, she had zero tolerance for it, the feminist scholars finally said, you've gone too far, because what if a woman makes a pornographic film from a woman's point of view? Then you don't have men objectifying women, because women are going to frame it so that the women are objectified. Or if you make a woman directs a lesbian film, then you don't bring men into the equation. And so then their arguments kind of fell apart because this, it doesn't necessarily lead to violence. So there's a bit of a problem if you expand and really look at and examine the issue, that objectification, etc., depends on the fact that it's men looking at women and men sleeping with women. So that doesn't stand up to the test when you're talking about obscenity, and that's what Andrea Dworkin was using. When you're talking about it in these terms, then her arguments fall apart when you talk about gay pornography, you talk about, again, women directing lesbian films, or even women directing straight pornography. There's a bit of a problem. Several communities have attempted to adopt laws regulating materials based on the argument they were harmful to women. Courts have found every one of these unconstitutional because you can legally go and purchase the material, and for a law enforcement agency just to say that we think it may be harmful to women, we can't prove any harm, we just think that it might lead into this direction, we're going to pass a law against it. The court said that is not a valid argument. Okay, that's where I'm ending now. You will have already probably attended Thursday night's lecture and talked about, I'll ask any questions you have and we'll resolve those. So have a good evening and a good weekend.